Nothing worthwhile. Mediocre podcasting. Today, tomorrow, forever.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. He always makes an impact. Now, get ready for double impact.
There's two of them. Think about it.
Van Damme times 2.
He looks exactly like you.
Me?
Twin brothers reunited on a mission.
Watch my back.
To avenge their parents' death. One packs a punch. One packs a piece.
Look good to me.
Together, they deliver double impact.
Excuse me.
From Hollywood to the Far East. On land. On sea. And in the air. They're damn quick.
Express service.
Damn cool. Damn hot.
So now what do we do? That's what I love about you.
Van Damme times 2. Double the fun.
I would never in my life wear black silk underwear. I'm with you on that one.
And double the Van Damage. Double impact.
Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network studios, It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
A good Naksu cow to you. Groo, apparently we're on a hard 90. You know,
Aren't you glad you joined us, Ryan?
I've never heard the term hard and 90 ever in my life. Actually, I've heard hard and .90. But thank you, everyone. All right, look, let's get focused. Let's get into a meditative state. I need everyone in the room to adjust their karate gi.
Yes.
Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out.
Having trouble tying this belt, but
as I say, no retreat.
And no surrender.
All right, you know what that means, everybody. It's another award-winning episode of Nothing Worthwhile Presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. Today we have a triple impact of sorts. Not only do we have 1, 2, but we got 3 folks in the room. Let's introduce the top dog, the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the top muckety muck of the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network. From parts unknown, weight unknown, Mr. Ryan Rabalkin. Welcome to Van Dammit once again. Glad to have you on board.
It's great to be here, guys, and I'm really excited to talk about this movie today. And it's an honor to be on your show, and it's an honor that you guys are part of the network. I'll say that over and over. I love having you guys part of the network.
I don't know about we're so glad to be a part of it. I'm enjoying myself. Love it.
Have you ever had that kind of introduction, Ryan?
Oh, sorry. Say that again, Andrew.
Have you ever had an introduction like that, Ryan?
No, I started to feel like I was Vince McMahon all of a sudden. I was like, "What's going on here?"
You are.
Yes.
You are.
You're the end all be all.
Evil, or I'm 1984 Vince McMahon.
There you go. Okay, we're not supposed to know that you run the show. That's the 84 Vince McMahon.
No, I don't run anything. The network, as most people know, if you're listening to this episode for the first time or this feed for the first time because you're a Double Impact or Jean-Claude fan, you're welcome to the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network feed, where we cover all the stuff from Bruce Willis, Dolph Lundgren, James Bond, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we did have at some point Steven Seagal.
We did.
It's with remorse. If you're listening to this, and you're a fan of the feed, you'll notice that Steven Seagal's show has disappeared from the feed. It's gone. Yeah, it's a shock. I know. The fellow that did the show, who shall not be named, he just bowed out. And I'll say right now, he bowed out because he felt that there was, which is fine. I'm not smack talking at all. He just felt that some of the opinions of some of the shows weren't where his opinion of some things were. And we wish him, I guess, all the best on his endeavors out there. But what kind of stings a little bit is that, he took the show off the network, everything that was done there, and we advertised that we have Seagal. So now we're kind of in a bind because we don't have Seagal on the network anymore. And as much as he's a bit of a gong show of a person, his movies are a joy to talk about. And my understanding is you guys are going to take a bit of a mantle up here, and you're going to cover one of his films in the future. Is that right?
Yeah, for our next Van Dammit podcast, we were planning anyway on taking a 1-month Jean-Claude vacation, and Andrew and I wanted to tackle, I believe it's 1994's On Deadly Ground. His battle to save the Alaskan wilderness and protect its people can only be won. We talked about it. Actually, Andrew and I speak on Thursdays to kind of set up the show, and specifically with that movie, we just love the whole premise that it's an action movie that's supposed to be with an environmental focus, yet there's probably more explosions, oil spilling into the ground, blood seeping into the ground, and just love that whole juxtaposition. Plus, Groo and Ryan, I just want to see Steven Seagal in his like Native American garb, like his pelts, and I think he was in that like his pelts and buckskin phase where he was trying to come across as Native American.
Yeah, I remember he walked out on like the Arsenio Hall show on that thing, and I was like, no way, I'm sorry, man, it's not working for me.
I can't wait. And let me say that your guys' coverage of it will blast out of the water the previous podcast that covered the Seagal podcast. I think you guys will do this movie justice. Ooh. Speaking of hard for justice, I think you guys will give this the proper justice that Steven Seagal deserves. I will say that Steven Seagal films will be back on the feed, whether it's doing what you guys are doing. And in fact, that's my CEO, not decision, but my CEO recommendation is that the other shows, because we all do spin-off shows, which I think is great. We all do our own take on other movies and stuff because I like everyone's voice on different things. So the fact that you guys are picking up the mantle on Deadly Ground, in fact, it was actually the next one that was supposed to be in their thing, pretty close because they were going in order. So it's great that you're doing it. But I know I'm going to tackle.
That was like his fifth movie. Did. How long were they with us?
Well, they were only with us for a couple months, whatever it was.
Right, so that makes sense. Then.
Anyway, yeah. Did you ever listen to his show?
A couple times. I listened to the ones that I like Out for Justice. What's that face you're making? I love it.
I'm just saying. I think you guys will do a great job. I'm looking forward to your guys' take on it. And my call to the other podcast hosts that listen to this feed is take up the mantle. Let's go back and do Under Siege and Out for Justice, Above the Law. I think those deserve very much so a reboot and a reimagining from the hosts that know what they're doing. Okay, so let's move on from that.
Well, actually, I just want to say one other thing. I do have someone who might be interested in picking up the Seagal podcast full-time. I didn't ever tell you guys this, but I have a twin brother, Kevin Moody, who his hair is slick back, and he has a cigar. Anyway, all right, guys, listen.
I like it.
Thank you, Groo. I appreciate the mild chuckle. Hey, listen, I just want to go over last month, guys. We did S1E4 episode of Nothing Worthwhile Presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. We delved into 1990s Lionheart, and we did want to ask you, Ryan, was I correct in the sense when Andrew was talking about he's rediscovered perhaps his love of Marvel Comics, and we talked about the MCU? Would you consider Lionheart the end of Phase 1 of VDU, the Van Damme universe? As it seems like at this point Jean-Claude's a legit action star and he's going to move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, if you were to say that Lionheart was kind of the Lionheart, yeah, I know what you're saying. So this was like not Apex Van Damme yet. This was entering the Apex. So yeah, I would say that's the last of his kind of cheesy straight-to-video type films, and now we're entering the territory of pretty good quality films for 4 or 5 films going here. Unlike Seagal, Van Damme actually had a bit of a slow grind, and then he kind of peaked And I want to talk about that, people.
Yeah, Seagal went the other way, didn't he? He started up here
He
and kind of
did.
went down. Yeah.
Well, let me just say, because I think this is fair. Van Damme had it's not his fault. I think he's a great action star. I think he's got great charisma. I think he's fun to watch. He's good looking. His physique's great. I think he actually had the misfortune of being born when he was, meaning had he been born earlier, he would have really hit the 80s. He would have been right there with Sly and Arnold, and even Bruce a bit, meaning like because he's so much younger, he came into the action fold when action films in general were changing scenery. So even the big stars like Sly and Arnold, they weren't getting the same stuff that they used to get anymore. This happened to all action stars. It's kind of like I equate the action movies to the grunge movement. Grunge came in and kind of destroyed hair metal. Hair metal's fun. We all loved it, but it kind of destroyed it. And same with the mid-90s. I don't know what movie did it. Maybe The Matrix, but something about the 90s changed action films. And no matter what star you were, whether you're Arnold or Sly, and even Van Damme, their movie draw just ended, and it had nothing to do with their talent or ability to be an action star. It's just Van Damme happened to be born when he was born. I think if he was born earlier and discovered somehow still, he would have been a great kind of like, I think he would have been a great 80s action star. So I feel bad for him that he was kind of born a little bit later and got the tail end of the action genre, which is Double Impact. Movies were dipping for action movies in early 90s, and Double Impact was that peak when this movie really hit all the marks for those type of films at the time. And then through no fault of his own, the genre changed, and he just happened to still be kind of young. So he's like, oh, what the heck, guys? Nobody wants these anymore? So that's my thoughts on Van Damme overall.
Groo, we always said going into this podcast that Van Damme was on the cusp. You know, he wasn't that A-level action star. He was that B or B minus. You know,
second tier. Just under those guys, and was never going to escape their shadow, really, and he never really did. So if you can't beat him, join him, and then he becomes one of the Expendables, sort of, in a way. Actually, well, guys, that's one of his best performances, I think, in the Expendables too.
All right, let's stick to Double Impact.
Double Imp.
Speaking of which, guys, let's feel the impact.
Look at that! Oh my God, they're so sexy.
Come on.
What are we dancing to? I don't hear anything.
I feel like this is like kind of like, I got the power.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, you don't?
I think you forgot to share with sound. That's all you got to do.
No, I shared. I always do. No, that's on. He's got to do that. Yeah, you got to remember. You got to click the sound thing.
Oh yeah. God damn.
No, that's all right. It's okay. It's okay. Ryan's got the editing thing going. He's
hold on. Now I can't. Hold on.
Hey, and Drew, I'm not sure if we're getting your mic. I think we're getting your laptop mic, not your headset.
What?
Just FYI.
Now can you guys hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Come on. Feel the impact, guys.
Yeah. Is Arthur Kemple a pseudonym for Harold Faltermeyer?
I don't know, but when I heard this, I felt very Rocky 5-ish.
Yeah, that makes sense. Rocky 5 was the year before.
Rocky it up.
Was the year before, so yeah, keep
it up. Ooh.
Feel the impact. The impact.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that song. All right, guys, fellas, Double Impact is a 1991 American action film written and directed by Sheldon Lettich. Was also written, produced, and stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as Chad and Alex Wagner, twins. Film marks Van Damme's third collaboration with director Sheldon Lettich, who wrote Bloodsport and directed Lionheart.
Yeah, nice little trilogy. That's a nice little trilogy.
It's a good run. Then didn't he write a movie, a big hit with Stallone, or he wrote? No. I feel like he wrote something pretty big. Nah. Okay.
Thanks, Andy. Really,
sorry. No, you're right. No, sorry, my bad. No, my bad. You're right. He co-wrote a co-writing credit with Sly on Rambo 3.
Oh, okay. That's
really
yeah. Which means one of two things. If you co-write with Sly, it's either he wrote everything or he wrote nothing. It's really hard to tell.
Right. Yeah. It's probably Sheldon's Lettich is probably Sylvester Stallone.
Like put it this way: if the movie does well, that Sly co-writes, he takes the credit. If it does poorly, he says, "I really had nothing to do with it."
And that's the business.
Yeah, sure.
Well, this marks Jean-Claude's second collaboration with Bolo Young, the first being Bloodsport in 1988. Double Impact was released in the U.S. August 9th, 1991. Van Damme was reportedly paid $600,000 for the movie. He was looking here to break away from the typical martial arts movie genre that he had become so popular for, and he hoped that playing the dual role of Chad and Alex would change his image, and stretch him as an actor. Quote, Alex is violent and Chad is not, so audiences will see the contrast in my work. Ledich also noted that seeing Jeremy Irons portray the dual role in Dead Ringers allegedly influenced Van Damme's decision. Anyone here see the movie Dead Ringers?
Yes.
I haven't.
It's actually pretty good. It's, David Cronenberg directed that one. Good movie.
Yeah, are you a
Good
Jeremy
movie.
Irons fan? I know nothing about Jeremy.
I wouldn't say
like him
I'm
when
a
I see
fan. He's an excellent actor.
Yeah, I never go see a movie because Jeremy Irons is in it, but he's one of those actors, when he's in a movie, I'm like, oh, great, he's a good actor, sure, let's see what he does. Like, you're never disappointed by his performance.
Great in Die Hard with a Vengeance. Great performance in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
So without, again, not giving away the full review, let's just talk about it. What do you guys think about JCVD tackling the role of twin brothers in this film? I got a lot of thoughts.
Ryan, why don't you
sure.
take the mantle
I
here?
don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to say everything necessarily, but off the top. But I will say this is my first rewatch. And probably it's hard to say. I feel like this is my first rewatch in 25 years. I saw this movie in the theaters. I was 16, and I remember I went with my friend and my friend's dad. I think he had to let us in. I was 15 or 16 when this came out, so it was rated R, and they still kind of checked IDs back then. And so we just went with my friend's dad. And I've always been a Van Damme fan. I was a hardcore Van Damme fan at this time. That's why I saw this in the theaters for Van Damme. And I was a little bit hesitant about the rewatch because I think, it's been 25 years. I bet you it's aged poorly. I got to tell you, I may have had more fun watching this film today. I watched it today than I've had watching the film in a long time. I literally laughed out loud in fun, like a laugh out loud fun when I don't want to get too far ahead in the film, but there are certain parts in the film where I literally like, this is fun. This is a fun film. And speaking of Van Damme's twin ability acting, I think he does. Look, it's not an Oscar performance. That's not what this movie's about. But I think he does a great job of you really see the two different characters. Like you're never confused about who's who in the zoo.
So I'll take it, then we'll throw it to Andy. So I was actually pretty darn impressed with Jean-Claude in this movie. They fall into the typical twin casting where one guy has the slick back hair, the other guy is straight. One guy is clean shaven and preppy, the other guy is kind of gritty and got the cigar a la, Arnie.
Sure.
However, I agree with you. I felt like he did enough to really flesh out the characters when I was watching it, I really felt that they were twins. Some of the green screening was a little, in
30 years ago.
No, I hear you. But I'm saying to myself, actually, when I'm watching the movie, which is, Seagal never stretched himself like this as an actor. And I have to give Jean-Claude credit on this film. I mean, I'll give you my overall review at the end. But in terms of playing twins, I was pretty impressed with Jean-Claude in the stretch here. What do you think, Groo?
Yes, both of you. Not to sound redundant, but that's the draw for the movie. His performance and the effects that they were. I mean, usually you can see, especially for Freudian slip there, especially from movies from that era. You can always tell where the line is. Here you could not. These were two different people. And I thought he did a terrific job. And, look, speaking of the characters, Evan, when you and I attended Alex and Chad Wagner's B'nai Mitzvah, we saw the potential in them for, what they do in this movie and the stunts and the acting abilities, their vocal range. He really does. I want to, $600,000 does not sound like a lot of money for even this time or this, because he had headlined 4 other big movies before this. Yeah. And is it like $300,000 a character? He's playing 2 roles here. That's nothing. I mean, to us, it's everything. But you know what I mean. But back to your original point. Yes, on all counts, it was. I had never seen the movie ever before. Before 2 days ago.
What,
really? And I'd never seen it. I'd never seen it.
I thought you and I had talked. I mean, I had seen it a whole. We were also similar to Ryan.
I had never seen it. Remember, the one that I saw that we were a little confused on. I saw Double Team with Dennis Rodman, which will come up in several months. But
he looks nothing like Dennis Rodman. He had a hard time playing Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. So, but same with Ryan. Like, I mean, I really had fun with this rewatch, and it's because of a lot of things. But starting with the gimmick, if you will, of two Van Dams, and usually it doesn't work. It works here. They do a really good job.
They did a good job. They did a good job separating the babies at birth. Yep. You know, the whole double cross on the family. The babies are separated at birth through some violent actions, and one's raised in France. I like it. The other one's raised in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the Wagners from Oceanside are doing fighting the triads in China, or wherever they were, but. You know what? You have to stretch a little bit, and there's no problem with that. Well,
first of all, those two twin babies are like the most pin white, like European, like blonde, blue-eyed babies in that opening scene.
It was a boy and girl too, by the way. It was a boy and girl twin babies. Actually, sorry, they weren't twin babies. They were a boy and girl, but babies all kind of look the same. But not that it matters. But Alicia Stevenson played baby Chad, so they made the female Chad. I'm just saying.
So which one? So which one had the operation?
Well, Chad was kind of the nice, soft one, right? He was the one with the beautiful pink shorts.
I just love how the baby girl played Chad. I mean, I wonder if that was done on purpose. Hey, this baby is Chad. Okay, just for the record, this is the baby.
Yeah, Sheldon Lettich was like, we need to be real. We need to believe. We need to, it's got to be real. And I love that.
Let's take a quick gander before we get to the plot at the cast. Of course, we have Jean-Claude Van Damme as Alex and Chad. Jeffrey Lewis as Frank Avery. Alana Shaw.
Well, let's go to Jeffrey Lewis before we move on to the other. Let's talk about each one as we get to him.
Well,
so he passed away. He passed away in 2015 at the age of 79. I was like, I'd love to talk to him. This would be somebody that would be fun to talk to. But unfortunately, he passed away 7 years ago. He's the father of Juliette Lewis.
You had it right on my notes. Yes. Yeah. I actually found that's the interesting part because I love Juliette
Lewis. Guys, this is what it's like working with two geniuses. Okay, I just want to throw that out there.
No, I mean, I was very surprised. Matter of fact, he died at the age of 79 while working out at the Motion Picture Hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, boy, if there's maybe a way to go, I guess to be at the Motion Picture Hospital might be a good way to go. I talked to Groo. I mean, he had a very long, solid acting career. I mean, he was
very busy.
He was in a ton of TV shows from Bonanza all the way to Law and Order, Criminal Intent. And he had a pretty solid movie career. I guess he was best known for his collaborations with Clint Eastwood. He was in Midnight in the Garden of Good of Evil, Pink Cadillac, Any Which Way You Can, Bronco Billy, Every Which Way But Loose, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, and High Plains Drifter. So definitely had a very long, solid career, Mr. Jeffrey Lewis.
Yeah, he was
great in this film.
He was also Tango and Cash. He played Stallone's chief. He also collaborated with Mel Gibson. The Man Without a Face. The Man Without a Face.
And Maverick.
Yes, Maverick too. So yeah, he was all over the map. Good, really good actor. The kind of guy who, like Ryan said, I would have loved to have talked to him because those guys don't have to worry about their reputations. They're intact. He would have told story after story after story. Those kind of guys are great. And
he was great in this film. Boy, he really his delivery of his lines, and he really, what's the word I look for? Kind of like balanced or foiled the film. So like you have these two eccentric twins playing, which were done great by Jean-Claude, as we said, but he really brought the drama to this film. His delivery and reining these twins in, I thought he was a great foil as a character.
And I bought that hairpiece hook, line, and sinker. I mean, beautiful, beautiful work. Beautiful work.
Yeah, I mean, I felt he did a good job. He definitely plays the dutiful security guard who kind of morphs into their protector, so to speak, the adult figure based on, the death in the family. So I thought he did a good job.
He's the guy he's the guy who explains the plot to everybody. Basically.
Sure. Mr. Exposition.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of Alana Shaw as Danielle Wild?
Isn't that crazy that her name is that? Like, come on. It's almost like, hey, we gotta like, why would they name her Wild? Like, that's literally a porn name. Like, I don't understand.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, Groo, didn't we always talk about some of the crazy names in the action era?
Yeah. Well, they're the character names, aren't they? Usually. But this was a little silly. But she does her job in more ways than one in this one, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, she actually stopped acting in 2000, and she really did very little after this film, and I'm not too sure why, but you can actually follow her on Instagram and on Facebook. She has public accounts. She seems very, I won't say reserved is the right word, but I find it very odd that she's kind of not embraced. I think something might have happened or something. She doesn't like to talk about her Hollywood days. She doesn't do interviews about them, and she, like I said, she just stopped acting in year two. Her last appearance was an episode of the Drew Carey Show, and she has like 7 acting credits.
Well, she's probably busy preparing her lawsuit against Jean-Claude Van Damme for sexual harassment.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, she was molested right on film. So,
well, I think that what we saw in film had to be consensual. Come on,
I would hope so.
Yeah, everyone, that's a joke, please.
But for the record, I don't think Jean-Claude. I don't know if he has too many of those allegations. I'm not sure. I feel like a lot of the action stars seem to, but I'm not sure.
Please, I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't.
I don't honestly.
I haven't heard anything about him.
Yeah.
Groo, have your sources in Hollywood cleared Jean-Claude?
He is clear. He is clear. He's been vetted. He's good.
Karina Everson as Kara. I do know that Karina Everson won Miss Olympia 6 years in a row. I knew she looked familiar from 1984 to 1989. Fellas, any comments on Karina Everson as Kara?
Swing.
Well, she's a fantastic build on her. I remember seeing this when I was a teenager, as you can imagine, and just that whole sequence with her interrogating Danielle Wild in the back office there with the folders, files, or whatever, and I was just like, this is I think I've seen the beginning of these films on the internet.
Well, I think she plays a standard baddie here. I mean, I don't think her performance is terrible. I don't think it's great. I mean, she's obviously quite a physical specimen, quite an athlete. Here's my thought about this, and maybe I'm going a little deep on this, but I feel like in the 90s, Hollywood baddies, they had a very sort of fetishized sexual kind of deal. Like I started thinking about Commando and the bad guy there. Like, and again, maybe I'm reading into it, but pause for conversation. It seemed like you really want to get a bad guy or a bad woman over. Have some kind of weird sexual thing going.
I think it was common for the movies in the 80s and the 90s to kind of have that, especially this is a rated R film, and what I like about this film being rated R is that they take advantage of that rating, and that's
sure what I like do.
That's what I like about Total Recall. Like Total Recall is another film where if you're going to be a rated R film or an action film, just go balls out.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
That lovemaking scene with Jean-Claude and Alana Shaw. I thought I was watching Playboy Channel Electric Blue.
Was that now? Electric Blue. I remember.
They had
that.
like the neon lights.
Yes.
And, you know what I mean? Like
that's what I kept thinking of. Wait,
well,
what? Did I just say that out loud?
Yeah, let's actually just get out of the way, because when you guys were doing, I admit I was being selfish when I knew this film was coming up. I invited myself or asked if I could come on because I love this film in general, so I have no problem talking about it. And also, I knew that you guys would get a kick out of the love scene, and especially if you hadn't seen it. So here we go. Why don't we just talk about it? What are your thoughts? Because Groo, he's the guy that likes to talk about the ladies. So
wait a minute. All right, fine. Yeah, he's right. Well, I really only have a question, because the question is, was it actually happening, or was it? No. It was a fantasy, right?
It was in Alex's head. He was envisioning that his brother and his girlfriend was stepping out on each other. So he was drunk,
which makes it so much hotter. Like, seriously, now I'm like, yes, that is what you need to do. You need to get into their heads. And and it really, if it leaves the audience asking questions, a scene like that where Van Damme and the girl are going at it, and I'm still leaving with questions about it, they've done their job, and they certainly did here.
Now, I don't know if my partner in crime is goofing. However,
no, I'm not. I swear I didn't know. I swear I couldn't figure it out.
Completely gratuitous. Still loved it. She's beautiful. Van Damme's ripped. I mean, they're easy on the eyes. What I did like, though, was I liked that little wrinkle that they played on in the movie with the jealousy between the two twins.
Yes.
I mean, it added an extra element to the movie where I went, all right, this is not just some standard crappy action fare. Like, the movie is very heavy with action set pieces. Obviously, I'm maybe giving away a little bit of my overall thoughts on the movie, but that added little wrinkle there where he gets drunk and he's losing his mind. I thought that was actually a cool little piece, into the movie.
You actually bring up
great acting too. I was going to say it shows great acting on Van Damme's part, where he's playing that drunk anger. It was great. It was like, he's punching things and he's spitting out a cigar. I love that moment. Like again, when he plays angry Alex and badass Alex, it actually shows you that Van Damme's really good at playing the bad guy. He did in Expendables Part 2. Mm-hmm. I kind of wish we saw more villain Van Damme in his career.
Yeah, well,
he definitely has range. I'll say that for sure.
I mean, Evan, this speaks to your point where, Van Damme never really went for this kind of character depth before. So that's kind of what makes this into, like you said, phase 2. Because this is really the first time we're seeing this kind of not just range, but they're taking chances. They're taking a risk in having, it's like, Sylvester Stallone in Copland in a way. And, maybe not to that extent. But right. It's moving forward. So to speak to your point, that's exactly what this is.
Without giving away the budget, did you also feel like I still felt watching the movie? It feels like the momentum with Lionheart, like they're putting some money into this movie. It feels like the production, it's a little bit bigger than it's keeping that momentum going for Jean-Claude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It looks like a good film, and the action sequences or setups, the jungle fighting they did on the island. I mean, all the fight sequences that Van Damme was doing with the sounds that he makes when he punches, the slow mo worked. I love, man, all the fights were cool. Like the one fight that was really cool to watch was.
Can I guess?
Okay, sure.
I was actually taken by the fight. Like the two guys were fighting like in the dark with the shadows and that bluish hue. That was really cool for its time. I don't remember ever seeing something like that.
That's what I mean. Van Damme was born kind of at the wrong time. That was a very Bruce Lee-esque, late 70s, early 80s type stylized fighting. No special effects, just lighting. And I love how I guess that bad guy was somebody that fights in the shadows and he uses the darkness to his advantage. And so Van Damme's, Alex is realizing this guy works in the shadows. He fights in the dark. And he realized if I just get some natural light in here, and he did. So he punches a hole in the wall and natural light comes in. That's when he just grabs the guy by the scruff of the neck and just punches him to death in the face. I thought it was just great moments like that. I love.
But it's interesting that you got, because do you guys think that this is the first Van Damme movie in his filmography where the non-fighting stuff, the non-action stuff, is almost or maybe even just as interesting, maybe even more so than the action. You know what I mean?
I actually wanted more because Van Damme's performance in my mind was, I don't know if I would say strong, but it's just really solid here. And I agree with you, Andy. I enjoyed I thought, it kind of suffers a little bit from set piece to set piece, but I enjoyed the quieter moments. I enjoyed the acting here.
Me too.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Next week, we're going to... what do we got?
We got Philip Chang as Raymond Zhang. We have Alan Scarf as Nigel Griffith.
Yeah, those are the two. We have the Caucasian and then the Asian bad guys. You have that collaboration.
We found that out. I actually... Can I say something? Can I say something real quick? Do you guys... Well, it's a question. Do you guys think we found out about Griffith a little too early in the movie?
Well, irrelevant. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. See, I kind of disagree because you almost get a sense right off the bat where they're at the scene where the triad confronts the family at the house, and I think Frank has Alex or Chad, and he's running through the woods, and he sees Griffith talking to like one of the Asian guys, and he goes, "Get him!" and they run away.
Fair, of course. They could have. You're right. They could have, as an audience, we could have discovered the discovery with the characters. Maybe that would have made it that much better. It could have made it better.
I'm not complaining. I just feel like that was sort of a. I just thought it was like a little bit of a missed opportunity to add a little bit of of mystery to it.
A smarter writing team would have said, let's make the betrayal discovered. The characters and audience discovered together. Sure, that would have made it that much stronger. Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think if anything, the movie suffers a little bit from this. It's a similar setup in most of Jean-Claude's early movies. It's like family or friend killed or injured, and let's get revenge.
Well, every one of them, he's got some kind of brother or mentor, in some way. But you know what? I can look at this as sort of like almost a remake in a way. Like he's saying, I'm going to fix some of the mistakes that were made in the previous ones. I don't know. Because you're right, it is very similar in narrative, but it's just a much better execution. No pun intended.
Groo, did you like, since we're going right to the plot, did you like the opening stanza, the setup for the movie with, obviously the parents getting killed and the triad and Griffith and the twins get split up?
The answer is no, which is interesting because when I watched it, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be another... more of the same. It's not until, and this is a testament to Van Damme, it's not until he shows up 25 years later where this movie kicks in. It's a testament to his star power and his ability. When he's feeling up that girl and the thing, when you see it, it's Van Damme, and then you but no, his screen presence is what's missing from that opening part. It definitely sets things up nicely. Probably a little too long. Probably could have been done by the end credits. But look, they had a lot of ground to cover. They covered it, and then they got to Van Damme, and everything was great.
Ryan, what did you think of the opening stanza?
I think it just pushed the narrative. It wasn't the strongest idea in the sense of like, this is this has never happened before. Family gets murdered, revenge is incoming, the twins are separated at birth. But what I did like about the idea is that nobody knew where the twins went, and so the surprise was actually on the bad guys. The bad guys didn't know these twins survived. They thought that the twins were taken away, but they probably just forgot about them. So I kind of like the idea that the twins' surprise to the baddies was what was revealed was kind of fun. I like that idea, that they didn't know that these guys were alive and that they were capable. Imagine if they grew up to be the schmucks, It's like these are both very capable individuals in their own right.
You know what? You bring up an interesting idea. If would it have been a better movie? Even I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I'm just saying, would it have been better if one of them was a complete putz and the other one had to like deal with him or train him or something?
That's like
or
twins.
Is that a cliche? Is that a cliche?
plus the movie Twins, and that's what it would have been compared to. The Twins was only like 3 or 4 years before this film.
Good point. Good point on that one.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you say that Chad was kind of? It wasn't a screw up, but isn't he? He's sort of the softer.
He was the Bloodsport guy, really. Right?
He's the less hard-edged, more
into the women, more into the fun stuff. Like that. Wasn't that the guy from Bloodsport, pretty much?
Sort of, but I would say Chad, just for our listeners, I'm sure most of the people listening to this episode have seen Double Impact. I can't imagine anyone hasn't, but they're listening. But Chad, he was just softer but capable. Like we saw at the very beginning when he took care of that bully in the karate class. He's also a very capable, high fighter. Like we didn't have to worry about his ability to fight hand to hand. He was just actually naive about the underworld. So Alex was the opposite. Alex was a gunman. So I think that's what they kind of showcased, was that Chad was the hand-to-hand combat guy. He was highly trained, highly capable, and Alex was the seedy underworld gunplay, that type of guy. And I think if you watch the film again, you'll realize, Alex did less karate and more gunplay, and Chad was vice versa, did very little gunplay. I think he only has one confirmed kill on screen with the gun.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I like that Alex was kind of damaged. I really did enjoy that. So I guess that makes it, because if we were going to make Chad into it,
did you empathize with Alex as damaged?
Well, I empathized with both of them for their own different reasons.
If you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, you have to go too deep into this, but I guess it's the writing, the editing, the writing, the acting, that Chad had a father figure. So he actually had a stable upbringing. He had the father figure in Frank, and whereas Alex was kind of abandoned in an orphanage and was raised, we would think he's probably raised on the streets and became a kind of a mini crime lord himself. And so, I mean, he was more damaged, more volatile, more angry, and it kind of showcases what happens with nature and nurture.
Yeah, and he had every right to not trust anybody, and he had every right to punch his. Well, he didn't know he was his brother then. He headbutted him, but he had every right to be paranoid. That they might be screwing around on him. So yeah, I stand corrected. Twins, this was not would not have been good.
You know what I say? Yeah. I say let them die. They knew what they were getting themselves into. Well, speaking
that
of
joke
which,
will never get tired for me.
25 years later, we see that Chad and Frank are running a successful martial arts dojo in L.A. Frank tells Chad, "Hey, I got this option or offer for a new business in Hong Kong. We get to see the nice pink shorts on Jean-Claude. Very firm. How
about that tank top? How about that 80s tank top right there?
Lord." The two guys head down to Hong Kong to a mahjong parlor, and we get the reveal of Alana Shaw. She mistakes Chad for Alex. They go back to the room. Alex arrives, and now we have the twins reveal grown up, and he knocks Chad out for being with his girlfriend. So now we get the reveal of the twins all grown up. Well, any thoughts on the opening reveal with the twins? Van Damme all grown up 25 years later.
So I guess they're about 25, 26 in this film, which I think he was pretty close to that age in real life. I think he might have been closer to 30.
I think so too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked it again. Skip forward, see where they are. We just see right away one has this comfortable, stable. They have a business. Chad is go-lucky, happy. His mental health is green, man. He's doing well. He's doing just fine. He's got ladies. He's got a job. He's like a guy like Van Damme in real life and in this film. Like that guy has no problem getting the girls. I mean, look at him. Do you think he has a problem getting females? No.
I should hope not. But I think it was a great setup because they're really laying the foundation for what this movie is really going to be, and they needed these guys to, have some beef to get through. So I really did like. I love that Alex comes out and just literally Chad turns around right into a massive Andre the Giant style headbutt like that. I actually really liked it. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
Well, Frank tells them that they're identical twin brothers and they need to join together to take down Griffith. to get their part of the royalties from the tunnel. What was that? The name of that tunnel? The Victoria Harbor Tunnel in the opening setup of the movie. Chad and Alex clearly don't get along with each other. Alex takes him on a boat where he's going to sell smuggled Mercedes and cigarettes to some Chinese buyers. But the Hong Kong police arrive. Chad dumps the cars to escape the cops faster. Back in Hong Kong, some thugs kidnap and beat up Chad. They're mistaking him from Alex. Oh, and that one I did put in my notes. Bolo puts a heck of a beatdown on Chad on this one. Like I think he just kept on slamming his face against.
Yeah, that's a brutal sequence. He just slams Van Damme against the side of that cargo hold. I know it's Van Damme. It's not even a stunt double, but just the sound effects meshed in with the action. There's very good physical acting between him and Bolo.
The violence in this one is really a step up. Like the blood and the choreography, like everything is just at the next level. Here, and this scene, the Bolo scene is a very good example of that. Like it's happening. You could tell in some of the early ones, especially like No Retreat, No Surrender. Like you could tell when they punched each other, their fists were like 7 or 8 inches away from their landing point. This is such an upgrade, so far anyway.
I mean, come on. I've seen porn with better production than No Retreat. Oh wait, hold on. Could you hit my mic?
I think you're going to say 7 to 8. I thought you were going to say 7 to 8 inches.
Come on, we're on a hard 90. We're on a hard 90. Let me ask you guys real quick. What do you guys think of Bolo Young? I mean, I think we talked about him a couple of movies ago. I think you weren't. I think Bolo Young is like
he's awesome.
He's awesome. He's better here.
Quintessential 80s, 90s Asian villain. I mean, he's first of all, he's very physically imposing, but
his performance in this was absolute. Every scene he's in, he steals. That final fight between him and Van Damme, that was the part that made me laugh out loud in a good way. It's like I forgot how cool and funny and fun and amazing. Like that whole scene is like he's Donkey Konging barrels at Van Damme. Every time he picks up a barrel, I was thinking of like Mario jumping over a barrel, and I just love the whole slow motion, the fights. Bolo Young doing this, like putting his hand down, like calm down. Let's do this. Let's do this right. You take off your shirt, I'll take off mine.
Yes,
that's classic karate fight film stuff. I just loved it. Bolo was amazing. His facial expressions, his anger, his little. I don't know, everything he did in this film, I loved. I think he stole the show in many ways.
I mean, he's no Philip Ree from Best of the Best, but with that being said, like I said, this is a major upgrade. With him, because Evan's right. I was not that impressed with him in one. Which earlier one was he in, Evan? I'm sorry, I'm just drawing a blank.
Yeah, this is Bloodsport. Yeah.
He is. He has a screen presence here that he did not have then. So yeah, I'm a fan now.
I feel like when I was a kid and I saw him, I was like legitimately afraid of him when I watched these movies when I was young. Like first of all, he's massive. I mean, he's huge. He's always flexing. Of course, Ryan, you're right. They always have to go I'm sorry, I got to call it how I see it, the homoerotic. Like, let's take off our shirts. Glistening pecs, and now somebody's gonna end up dead.
Hey, you gotta get the women into the theater. I mean,
I have no problem looking at them with their flexing. I love it when every time they punch, they got to flex. I love that idea. Like, can you imagine how exhausting of a fight technique that must be? That every time you lay a punch, you got to engage all your muscles into a full body.
Well, as someone who's done that myself, it does take the wind out of you. I must say.
Did you guys not feel that Van Damme actually toned that down for this movie? Like, he's not doing those. There wasn't a ton of double punch. That quick double edit that I feel like he relied upon in the first couple of movies, and he toned down a little bit. I don't remember seeing that too much in this movie.
The Van Damme, what do you call the Van Damme gasms? They were little
Van gasms.
That's
Van gasms.
Okay, I like that. Van gasms. So the Jean-Claude Van gasms were little. They were shorter gasms. They were just It wasn't quite drawn out, but they were there. Like,
Well, he's learning. He's learning. He's been training to keep it. It's acting. But he's learning how to do it. He's learning how to do it.
We want that. I want it.
Well, I mean, but you also want a sense of realism. That's how he seems to be evolving, and I think I like him toning the over the topness. That's the only phrase I can ever think of in these situations. But toning that down is what adds to the excitement and the realism, and what makes us believe that this shit is happening. So I do appreciate that. Him doing that.
Well, I think I'm going to contact my attorney to trademark Vangasms right away.
Yes. It's like a sniglet. It's like, remember sniglets? We got to come up with like a book of sniglets. Remember that? You don't remember those? Nobody?
Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, shit. I'm old.
Alex,
you seriously don't know what sniglets are? Nobody
I remember
knows
sniglets.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank God.
Sniglets.
Thank God. All right.
All right. Come on. Let's get back to Double Impact. We're on a hard 90. Yeah. Come on.
You might want to explain to the audience what this because this is typical Evan Moody here. I'm not going to lie to you. This guy. He just likes these little subtle digs. He just slide cast for their 500th minute of this.
Hey, listen, come on. There was that one episode with all right, I don't want to get on it.
So to the audience, he's saying a hard 90 because I was using the term that I could start at the time they were starting at, but I got about 90 minutes. I got to have supper with the family. I got to appease the wife. So let's do the review at the beginning because I know you guys do.
Wait. Please the wife. I heard that in there.
Yes.
Well, first of all, get the segment correct. It's spanning the universe. Of course, Andy put the wrong one on the last podcast.
I did not.
But okay,
what did I do?
Yes, you did. You on the one where we kind of went off on blah 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 blah. You said the week that was when it's spanning the universe when we talked about Mel and a few other things. All right, let's please come on.
Okay.
All right, okay. Sorry. Chad and Frank they go to an abandoned hotel on the island. Obviously, the island is operations, a drug operation. They blow it up. Then they attack a club frequented by Zhang by pretending to bring him cognac smuggled in from France, which is actually a crate of bombs, although they fail to kill Zhang. Danielle continues to search for information but is caught, and she is sexually molested by Kara. Yummy. Danielle later calls the hideout, revealing she has found something, but her phone is tapped by Griffith. Again, I put 80s and 90s typical baddie, sexual aggression, typical stuff.
Well, I heard that Larry Flint was a special guest director for that scene with Kara and the girl.
No, Harvey Weinstein produced that segment.
I like it.
Were you guys slightly surprised that they went for it?
Yes.
Even back then?
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually a very, even today's viewing, it was like, let's be honest, she was sexually assaulted because there was a scene where the female baddie goes down on Danielle Wilde up her skirt saying, and then Danielle Wilde tells Chad on a phone call, like, I was searched. And like, right. Yeah, so it was like, wow, she invaded that area and it's like, whoa, it was a very, of course it's all off screen, nothing shown, but the insinuations and the sound effect that she made as an actress indicated that this was a very invasive search. And I remember even seeing it as a 16-year-old thinking that this is intense. Like, you didn't even see it's like a total.
Well, I agree with what you said, Ryan, though, which is, I mean, if you're going to go for it, go for it. And here they definitely go for it.
Oh, it's cool. It was cool.
I like. Yeah. Oh, it was cool. Unable to find Alex and Frank, who are out gathering firewood, Chad takes the boat to rescue Danielle. And of course, we talked about this earlier. Alex becomes paranoid, begins drinking heavily, and imagines in a drunken stupor Chad and Danielle having sex. Zipper, unzip sound effect. Chad brings Danielle home, but Kara follows them in a helicopter.
Before we move on from that, I just find it interesting that this is a fantasy sequence that we're led to believe as an audience is playing out in Alex's mind. But I love how he gives his brother full his brother gets full starring role in his own imagination.
Yeah, full coverage. That's a little weird.
I guess to be fair, it's easy to imagine his brother having sex with his girlfriend because it's just him in a different body.
Good point. He's making himself look real good.
Yeah, I really didn't think about that. That's we probably can get a psychologist on.
Well, that's a mistake that's made in so many movies where people are having flashbacks to events that they're not even at. Like that happens. That's a trope that happens all the time. That didn't bother me at all, really.
So Alana Shaw, this was one of her first films, and I think it was her first and only nude scene.
No wonder.
Did this leave a bad taste in her mouth? No pun intended, or?
I mean,
I think that was the dead. Look, Ryan's like, oh my god, I can't believe. I told myself I wasn't going to do it, but I did it anyway. That's that.
Guys, listen, I'm really not comfortable with this low hanging fruit of a podcast. I mean, either class it up or I'm going to leave. Okay.
You do realize you invited me on the you invited me on the show. I don't class anything up. I apologize.
I know. No, yes, you do, Ryan. Number one, yes, you do.
That's what we count on you for.
We're on our bestest behavior. Well, if I'm being serious, to your point, you're telling me that this young lady had a very limited career. So
yes, I think there's something. Honestly, I think there's a real connection here. I'm not even joking. I think something happened. Whether it was this movie, I've looked and I've seen nothing, but she stopped her career very quickly.
I mean, that picture you sent us, she looks very crunchy granola, and that's. I mean, she went from like, a Playboy Playmate type to earthy. So anyway,
was this like the last Tango in Paris thing, where like method acting, where they really had to do the
no?
deed
Again, there's nothing. Nothing was ever said on this set alone. I might have to do more digging, but
I didn't read anything myself. I didn't see anything.
No, and again, I double checked Wikipedia. Not that it has everything, but on Jean-Claude's page, there's no indication of anything inappropriate behavior. He's had issues with other actors, but nothing that he's done,
like Steven Seagal.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Well, again, I did think it was an interesting twist, the whole brother, rivalry and, the drunken stupor and imagining his brother in an electric blue Playboy sex scene with Danielle. And then actually, if you remember...
I wanted to say, before you move on, real or fake?
Fake. Yeah, it was fake. However, you do get the classic Jean-Claude chase scene in every movie. There's that one scene with like Danielle and Chad are running away from the bat. I feel like every Jean-Claude movie there's like sort of a ridiculous chase scene. They're jumping over boats. They get into the boat and they're just able to leave before the bad guys get a hold of them. All right, let's get to the final scenes. The next morning, Chad and Alex awaken to see the triads landing on the beach. They take out several triad members. Frank and Daniel are captured. They capture one triad who reveals that Frank and Daniel have been taken to Zhang's boat at the pier. Chad and Alex board and fight their way through the ship. Chad ends up finally killing Moon, who had beaten him up earlier when he was kidnapped. And Ryan already talked about it. Great fight, good usage of a container. Great Jean-Claude Pex, and Alex rescues Frank and Danielle. And of course, I also put that you get the classic Jean-Claude scream. He gets he goes no when he thinks Moon kills Frank. So
it's great stuff.
The twins split up. Chad pursues Griffith. Alex kills Zhang. Alex eventually kills Zhang when he falls to his death from atop a crane. And Chad and Danielle are chased through a maze of shipping containers. I mean, that was definitely interesting. Until Griffith threatens to crush Chad with a forklift. We see that Chad jumps in the water, comes around from the back, and drops the container on Griffith, killing him. And of course, we have the end scene where the four of them reunite and set aside their differences and end movie to hip-hop song.
It's a crazy life.
Double impact. All right, Ryan, we do a couple of things with Groo. You could certainly throw out a guess, but anybody want to take a guess at the budget for Double Impact?
Well, I know, so I'll let Andrew guess.
All right, Andrew.
Well, they definitely spent some more money on this one. I forgot what the budgets were for the other ones, but this was 91? 1991. I'm going to say, because there's still some cheap-looking stuff in there, like the green screen driving scenes. I'm going to say
yes,
like 14, 15 mil, around there. around there.
Well, Ryan, I have. I see this is when my buddy knows his stuff. I have 16 million.
No?
Yeah, that's all. I said 15 to 16. I think it was 15, and then it made 30. Oh, sorry, I blew that. I apologize.
I think it made $30 million at the box office.
It did make $30 million.
My apologies. My apologies.
Thank you. That counts for me. It counts. I think I would have said I can tell you what I knew you were going to ask me the question, and I could tell you I was going to say about 40 million. That's what I was going to say.
So let's talk about those numbers. 1991, 60 million budget, little over 30 million gross. What do you guys think of those numbers? Typical Van Damme. Surprise? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just, it made its budget back in a little bit. I mean, it made a little bit of a profit, not much, but so it wasn't a bomb. I'm just actually surprised that it didn't do better. I don't know why. It wasn't, I'm actually confused because I was a Van Damme film. I was that target audience. I was 16 years old, 15 years old. I was a fan of his films. I went to that to see it in the theaters. I bought it on VHS, so I was a fan of his. So as a fan, if you don't like Van Damme films, you're not going to like the film. But I was a fan of his, saw the film in the theaters. I'm just confused where my other Van Damme cohorts were, why they didn't go.
Well, back then, I remember, I was a movie buff back then. Evan knows. I think that a $30 million haul was, if not considered a hit, was not considered a failure either at that time. Nowadays, Ghostbusters makes $250 million and is considered a flop. It's just, I guess it's budget related, but I consider that to be a success, and that's why they kept pouring money into future movies. So I don't look at it as a letdown at all.
No, I think Ryan's point is, certainly it made back its money and then some, but it does seem a little low.
It does. That's $52 million today. So had this movie been released today and sold the same amount of tickets, it would have drawn $52 million at the box office. That's it. So I'm just, again, kind of confused why the low draw. Yeah.
You feel like you have the angle with the twins. You got the Lettich collaboration, which has been fairly successful for Jean-Claude. Again, my opinion means doo-doo, but it does seem a little on the low side for, you thought maybe this is already his fourth or fifth film in. Lionheart was a nice step up. And I think Double Impact continues that momentum. It made its money and then some, but it just, I don't know. It sounds a little lean to me.
Did it make less than any of his previous ones?
I don't have it in numerical order right now.
Yeah, I did. The movie, which you guys didn't do, which I don't know if you're going to go back and do it. The film that came out before this was Death Warrant. I think that's one you should investigate.
Well, remember when I sent the list, I didn't go over every single.
I know, but this is Death Warrant is now peak Van Damme entry. So this is actually Death Warrant is a good fun film, and I think it's one you I as CEO I command you to go back.
Death Warrant it is.
Is that the hockey one? No, that's Sudden Death.
Sudden Death.
Wait, I corrected myself before you got a chance to. Sudden Death. Powers Booth. Powers Booth was the bad guy.
Yeah, whatever you guys don't cover, there's some that I really hope you do cover. I'm not going to force you, but I don't know. I can't remember the list, but Death Warrant is one that if you don't cover, well, someone's going to, because that's a good film. I would love to have you guys cover that. I think that's one you should do.
We will. Because I figured we would cover what I would consider his, let's say, top 15, and then we were going to do something like the best of the rest, and go back.
But Death Warrant is comparable to this in sense of it's, yeah.
What's the one you're thinking of? Or was that the one? Yeah. Did you say? Was there another one you were hoping we would do? It seemed like you were insinuating
Death Warrant.
that.
He'd like.
No, I don't remember the list. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to derail your show. I didn't. I was just. But before we close and before I do my hard 90, well, I still got 15 minutes. But before I do my hard 90, I just want to close the chapter on Alana Shaw because I think we're going to be the podcast that gets to the bottom of this. So I went to her Facebook. This is fine. This was posted in. I'm not on Facebook anymore, so this is public. So I'm able to look at it, but I can't see much of it. But she posted something here on her Facebook called "Acting Continued: My Exploration of the World." So she doesn't have a bad feeling on her acting. So she actually put a picture on Facebook, a collage of sorts of all of her different roles, and she did insert Double Impact, a picture from that movie. In fact, one of the stills she put on the Double Impact film was one with the director, and another one with the baddie, kind of like cupping her butt a little bit or pointing at her butt. And so she certainly didn't have any problem with the film or what happened on the film, because she put that on her Facebook wall. And then she says here that she now utilizes her background in theater, film, television, and appreciation for her appreciation of nature in her work. So she does stuff like travel, biography, science fiction. Like her hobbies are like painting, photography, hiking in nature. So she's just done acting, but she seems to turn over her interest to nature and painting, artwork, and stuff.
So she's a hot blonde who's got no life. So I can call her and we can make this happen. Is what you're saying?
Well,
I would like to see what she insert in her collage.
Oh,
her collage. Insert. Actually, Groo, you know what? If I'm having trouble sleeping, I'm going to go on her Facebook page so I can see.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to point that out because to squash any kind of like people are going to quote our show that there's some sort of speculation something happened.
We're starting some vicious Alana Shaw rumor.
So as far as she's concerned, she enjoyed her acting, or at least her acting career, brief as it was, led into her love of nature and artwork. So that's what she does now.
And listen, she does a good job here. I mean, her performance was fine. She does the damsel in distress very, very well.
What do you think of the ending? What do you guys think of like the resolution, like the ending of the movie?
Of the lovemaking sequence?
No, the movie. Film? Of the movie. We already covered the.
I know. I'm just joking. It's like the highlight of the film. Every time I'm telling you, every time someone thinks of Double Impact, they always go to that sequence. It is like that. One of the most, I don't say gratuitous, but it's like one of the most. Why did we have to have? Because like you're saying, Andrew, at the beginning, like not only was it not it didn't happen in the movie, in real life, in the movie. This actually didn't happen, but they still showed it to the audience. I just think it's funny. I've never seen an imagination lovemaking scene given to the audience, like it was in somebody's head, but we got to watch it too.
Yeah, I mean, I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts about the end.
Well, go ahead. Andrew,
when Evan was, when Evan was describing the end, he sort of insinuated. It seemed like you were insinuating it was sort of by the numbers, which it was. However, I think it was. I think it was. I definitely felt that. However, what made this better for me is that you cared about the stakes seemed higher because we were more invested in these characters because of the job that they did. I know that sounds very snobbish, but that's
stakes invested. Yeah. Stakes are higher invested. Love the ending.
But they took a formulaic ending and because of everything that they had built up until then, the formula works. That's it's I think it was good.
It was a quick nice little bow on it. I mean, how much do you have to do? Do you have to show like 5 years later they're married and getting along and running the business together? I don't know. Like it's like the karate business is now being run with Alex. Like we get it. Though there was talks about a sequel, so we may have gotten more storyline had the sequel ever came out. But it's too bad it didn't.
Still could. You never know with the reboots these days.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, go ahead.
I thought the ending was a little Lethal Weaponish. I don't know. Just the shipyards and it was standard.
We should speak to the film. Wasn't short. Like it was an hour and 44
minutes.
No,
hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, it's an hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, it's a long runtime. Pretty long. But
it didn't feel long watching it though. I felt like
it was a quick watch.
That's a good sign for an action film at that time, and to not feel like it dragged. It just shows. I think every sequence, every setup, every beat was kind of fun to watch. I think it was just a fun film overall.
Well, speaking to that, the critical response to Double Impact. Double Impact scored a 35% on the tomato meter based on 20 reviews, and it was given a score of 42% from over 25,000 plus audience reviews.
I'm so surprised by
I am
that.
too.
I find that really...
Yeah. Dolores Barkley of the Associated Press said, Lawrence of Arabia, it ain't, but who cares? The fighting is great, the action nonstop, and this guy has killer legs from hell that can drop a 500-pound ninja before he could say Bruce Lee. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly gave the film a C+. Kathleen Maher of Austin Chronicle gave the film a 0 out of 5.
That's garbage.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Even Owen Gleiberman from Entertainment Weekly, like, he obviously didn't like it that much, but a C rating for a Van Damme movie at that time is a
C+.
Is a positive.
So C+.
That is
like
good.
Above average.
That is very above average.
Can I say, and I'm stealing this bit from, I think it's from Adam Carolla, so this isn't me, but I agree totally with this, that I hate it when critics rate movies against Lawrence of Arabia, meaning like that's not the intention of the film. So, for example, when you go to McDonald's, you're not going to McDonald's thinking you're going to get a steak dinner, like a high-end, like, just rate McDonald's against other fast food joints.
Yeah, but you have to listen to her review, Ryan. She's saying it ain't Lawrence Arabia, but who cares? It's great for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about her, sir. I'm using the analogy that when film critics do that. So that's what she's saying. She's kind of covering her butt by saying, I know it's not Lawrence of Arabia, but that's the point. They should just say, this is an action film. So as far as action films go, it's a great run. But those who don't like Van Damme, those who don't like action films, then just avoid it anyways. But that's what I'm getting at. I'm a Van Damme fan, and I'm an action film fan. So this is a film that every action fan and or Van Damme fan should see. But there's other films from Van Damme that I wouldn't say that about. So I wish critics would rate films within the genre. Like, you're not going to rate a country song against a metal song. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, rate the movies within the genre they're a part of.
So if they said Die Hard, it ain't, would that work?
Well, you could argue, yeah, that's fine. Die Hard could be the, what do you call it? Die Hard is the Lawrence of Arabia of action films, you could argue. That's fine. So a C+ rating would be fair, but you would still, but then give your reasons. I just hate it when those hoity-toity critics, like, we're not going to a Van Damme film to see if this is going to win Best Picture. We're going because we have a bag of popcorn, a big soft drink, and we want to, and I was entertained. If a film entertains you, then job done. I don't understand. That's, to me, it's a job well done.
Agreed.
I got 2 more quick reviews. You guys want to hear them, or you want to get right to our... Okay, fine. Thank you, Andrew. Karen James of the New York Times said, quote, there's plenty of gunfire and karate kicks and explosives set off by remote control. Chad gets bombed in the head more often than Alex. There are some Van Damme-style showdowns with various villains with whirls and tricks that seem to owe something to the Three Stooges. There are golden oldies like smashing someone in the head with a whiskey bottle and kicking them in the crotch. As it turns out, 2 Jean-Claude Van Dammes are pretty much the same as 1. However, Kevin Thomas of the LA Times gave a positive review saying Double Impact offers 2 Jean-Claude Van Dammes for the price of 1. And for the fans of the Belgian-born martial arts star, it delivers the goods. It's a solid, fast-moving action adventure set largely in Hong Kong, which is dynamically photographed by Richard Klein. So we got a triple impact of critics. Let's go first. We'll give Ryan the final word. Let's go first to Andrew Van Groothius. Groo, the proverbial floor is yours. How many Van-gasms do you give Double Impact?
I give Double Impact 3 Van-gasms. The only reason I'm going with 3 and not higher is because I hope I'm not giving anything away, but there are some others that are yet to come that are better than this. So that's the only reason. Otherwise, on its own, I think I might rate it higher because I really, like Ryan said, I really did enjoy it. I mean, I can't lie. It was so much fun. Never a dull moment. But I just have to, because we're limited with how far we can go, I think I'm going to stick with 3. 3 Van-gasms for this one.
Okay. I'll take it from here, fellas. I like to go with what I liked, what I disliked in my final review. I liked Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie. He shows some real range as a thespian. He does a good job here fleshing out the twins, not just superficial in looks, but their attitude, their behavior. Much better production on this movie. It's not quite there yet, what I want to see in terms of production, but it's better. What did I dislike? I did feel the movie's very heavy. I know we're going to an action movie, but it just feels like set piece to set piece. it's a little light on the plot post-opening scene. I did write, for a guy who shows a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? He shows a lot of reverence towards Asian culture. He seems to kill a lot of Asian folks. I like this.
Yeah.
But let's get some diversity in killing, guys. Let's get some white people. Knock them down. All right? Final review, I felt like Lionheart was clearly a step up for Jean-Claude, and that continues here somewhat incrementally. I give credit to Sheldon Lettich. I think it's, the movie looks better here, and Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's well shot. And in this film, Van Damme shows his acting chops. But again, the plot, it's still the same, to me, formulaic Van Damme, family friend injured, we're going to get revenge. Fight pieces are more intricate and well shot. But again, Van Damme gets beat up, cut, and then he gets the big comeback a la Hulk Hogan. So I'll give it 2.5 Van Gasms. I see a lot of positives in Van Damme's performance. It's his best so far, in my opinion, and that should count for a lot for a Van Damme coverage podcast. So I'm going to give it 2.5 Van Gasms. Mr. Ryan Rebalkin, the floor is yours.
Is this out of 4, I presume? Is that what?
Yes, we'll go out of 4 gasms.
Okay.
4 gasms.
4
gasms. Dang.
Okay. I think Groo's going to need to take a cold shower after this episode.
I have to do that anyway.
So that's true. But no, I've already said I love this film. I'm going to give it 4, and I'll tell you why.
Wow.
This is it's not a perfect film, but it's a perfect experience. And this is a film that I loved as a teenager, so there's a lot of nostalgia attached to my rating, and that's why I can't give it lower, because this was a film that cemented my fanhood of Van Damme as a teenager, where I followed his career for many films later. I mean, granted, throughout the direct-to-video days, and as I got older, I admit I kind of started separate. As I get older and the straight-to-videos were coming out, I got separated from Van Damme. This was a showcase to me what he's capable of. Maybe it wasn't tapped into, unfortunately, in later films, but that's what I love about this film, is peak Van Damme in many ways. Shows his comedic side, his fighting style side, his creative side, his charisma, his physique, and just it's a fun film. It's a brutal film. I think it's a perfect 90s film. And again, the only criticism I have of Van Damme is that his parents didn't have him earlier. I think he would have. I just think he would have been such a great '80s guy, and he just came into the film franchises in the late '80s and then he peaked when action films were declining a little bit of this type of genre. So all that being said, this is a 4 Van Gasms totally for me. Experience-wise, rewatchability, and it's just a blast. I've seen some crappy films lately for this feed that I've had to do reviews of, and so watching this again, I was like, boy, this is just so much fun. And so if you haven't seen this, you're actually listening to this whole episode, or you need to rewatch, go back and watch Peak Van Damme. He's got great films to come. You guys are going to enjoy some ones that are still coming, but this was peak, and I think he does other films like this one, you'll see, that are very close, but this is the one that cemented me as a Van Damme fan.
Would you consider this to be your favorite Van Damme movie, or is that a question you'd rather save for another time?
I could probably come back to you with that. I definitely would. I could give you a top 3, but I don't want to do it off the cuff. But I think this is, as far as memories go, this was the one that I just like. Oh, I like these violent action type movies, and this was like Van Damme's Total Recall, you could say, or his RoboCop, the combination of humor and violence and everything else. So I really like this one.
No, save that for the Van Dammies.
Oh, the quick one.
Yeah, always thinking.
Yeah.
We got one more segment. Ryan, you want to stay on?
What's the segment?
We're going to span the universe for the latest news on our favorite 80s aging action stars.
Okay, I'll let you guys. Well, I'd love to stay, but my hard 90s coming to a real close, and I'll keep going. I'll drag your show out longer because I'm a bit of a talker. I'm sorry. So I'll do my hard 90 out, and you guys will do a wonderful job at the end of the show. And again, thanks for being part of the network, and look forward to hearing the rest of this episode on the feed.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. We really super appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for being
guys.
here. It's a privilege. All right,
and now it's just Andrew and I.
Yeah, you know what? I want to say one thing. Go
ahead.
Ryan mentioned something about movies and entertaining, and like if it does its job, why are we holding it to a certain standard. And I have to say, last week I watched a movie that has been critically maligned, an action movie that's been critically maligned by literally everybody, fans and critics. And I didn't like it for a while, and I watched it again for the first time in several years, and I just found myself really, really loving it. And it was a sequel. The first one is a much better movie. It's an absolute classic. But I have to say, another 48 Hours might deserve a rewatch. I just, for some reason, I was so entertained, mostly by Eddie Murphy's performance. But I just thought of that when Ryan said, why can't we just judge movies based on what they are, not what they're not? And, I think another 48 Hours got compared to 48 Hours, of course, and it's just not in the same league, but that doesn't make it bad. So I wanted to add that in because I thought it was an interesting point that he made.
Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome.
Can I get those 2 minutes back from my life?
What's wrong with that?
That impassioned another 48 Hours soliloquy.
Come on. Did you ever see it? Did you ever see it?
Another 48 Hours.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Murphy himself has said it shit the bed. He was out of shape. He was unmotivated.
I'm just saying that it held up for me. I didn't think it would, but anyway, okay. Well, let's span the world.
Well, I mean, if you set the bar high, yeah, it's tough, but you got to come back and try to. I mean,
right? But here we are, like almost 30 years later, maybe I think more, and it for some reason it just, I don't know. I really can't explain it. That just made me remember it. So I just wanted to add that.
All right. Well,
so I'll give you those 2 minutes back. At WrestleMania.
Groo, let's check out the latest news on our favorite aging 80s era action stars. I got to clean that one up. It's time for Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
Groo, Spanning the Universe is brought to you by New You Life Center. Begin a new you! Check out all of their medical weight loss programs at www.newyoulifecenters.com or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them that Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. New You Life Center, we're in this journey together. A big Van Dammit thank you to New You Life Center. Groo, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Super Bowl is 2 days away, Groo, but already some of the car commercials that will be broadcast on February 13th have already been released. As always, the companies who are paying millions for these advertisements are turning to humor, with one Arnold Schwarzenegger featured as Zeus picking up coffee in a BMW commercial. Ladies and germs, Arnie for BMW, please check your monitors at this time.
I got a macchiato for a Zeus. Zeus? Zeus!
It's Zeus.
Whoa. Kind of like the Greek god of lightning?
It's exactly like that.
Cool.
That was great. I enjoyed that. That was great.
Groo, Arnie in a BMW commercial? Thoughts?
Yeah, at this point, who cares? Like, these. I don't. Like what? Am I supposed to be like, oh, he's selling out? They all do it. Who cares?
No.
Yeah.
I thought it was a clever commercial, and apparently there's others.
Yeah, clever commercial. I love seeing these guys sort of poke fun at themselves, especially in that way. He wasn't afraid to get up in that looked like a Viking outfit or something. But Arnold is the best. He can do no wrong in my eyes. That was great. Really enjoyed that. Is that a piece of a? It wasn't very long. Is that a piece of a longer commercial? Some of these.
No, I think there's other. I think there's a longer form commercial with a female actress, perhaps for the Super Bowl. But it was one that came across when I did my research earlier in the week. I believe there's others that he did for BMW as well. Maybe a couple of them.
That one made me laugh. I'm going to go out and buy a Beamer right now.
Excellent. Groo, let's move. You guys mentioned Die Hard a little bit earlier. Let's talk about Bruce Willis. This week, as reported on The Wrap, Bruce Willis now has his own category for 8 bad performances in 1 year for the Razzie Awards. Groo, the Razzie Award nominations recognizing the worst, quote, crap, streaming, beaming, and steaming from our various screens and devices of 2021, as the group put it, has been announced, with LeBron James, Diana the Musical, Amy Adams, and Bruce Willis topping the heap. Here's a look at what we saw, the organization said in a press release: the excruciating musicals, thrill-free thriller ripoffs, a nearly 2-hour product placement film, and more Bruce Willis than any starving viewer could stomach. And in other words, 2021 did not fail the Razzies. So they actually gave Bruce Willis, Groo, his own category. The Brewster having appearing in 8 projects that the Razzie thought were all pretty bad. And they gave him his own category this year: worst performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie. And the nominees are Bruce Willis in American Siege, Bruce Willis in Apex, Bruce Willis in Cosmic Sin, Bruce Willis in Deadlock. I think we saw the trailer. Bruce Willis in Fortress, Bruce Willis in Midnight in the Switchgrass, Bruce Willis Out of Death, and Bruce Willis for Survive the Game. Groo, I know what you're going to tell me. Bruce is making big bucks on these schlock films that go straight to streaming, but my God, have some pride in your legacy. Groo, thoughts on Bruce Willis getting his own category for the Razzies?
Good, and I'll tell you why. Because I think he's been doing like the Nicolas Cage thing, like the Steven Seagal thing, these straight-to-video things like you mentioned, that he knows no one in America is ever going to see. So he doesn't think it's going to hurt his legacy. Now that people are sort of onto this and they see it, and they see that this crap is out there, I'm hoping that it will sort of light a fire under his ass and say, you know what? All right, I've made enough millions of this nonsense. Now let's see what John McClane is up to. Like go back to some big budget, big name directors, big name producers. Like get back on the marquee in the theaters. I think the last theatrical movie he did was like the remake of Death Wish, which wasn't great.
Didn't he do Glass?
I didn't see it.
Not very good.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
But he did. As far as action goes, he did Death Wish, which was they had a real chance to do something really cool with that, and they didn't. They kind of played it safe, I think. But hopefully, this Razzie thing will make him say, all right, well, they're on to me, so time to get back to work, hopefully.
Do you think at this stage of his career and at this age, a major studio is going to fork over big bucks for a Bruce Willis production?
Probably not, but he's got friends in high places. I feel like if he wants to get something done, he'll be able to get it done. Or he can go, what? All he would have to do, Tarantino wouldn't want to put him in like a supporting role in something. All he needs is one little, supporting role that's going to show that Bruce still has it, and he's back, and he's sort of back to that thing. Maybe he needs something like that at this point. Either way, he's Bruce Willis. He's a super talented guy, super fun to watch. Just, these movies are really bad because he's not really part of them. They're about him, but he's hardly in them. So, and the few minutes he is there, he's just like he's getting his lines fed through him through an earpiece. So, yes, he is phoning it in, and he knows he's phoning it in. So hopefully, we'll see him stop phoning it in at some point.
Well, Groo, that's a great segue. Speaking of phoning it in, let's go down to Steven Seagal In his memoir, Putting the Rabbit in the Hat, Emmy Award-winning Succession star Brian Cox, he wrote a book about his career, and he wrote a specific piece about sharing the screen with Steven Seagal on the set of The Glimmer Man. I remember that action baddie years ago, and this is what he had to say about it. He was talking to a fellow actor in the book, and he says, the actor was talking about working with Sylvester Stallone, and so Brian Cox says the following: "I can beat that. I've just done a film with Sylvester Stallone. With Steven Seagal. I told Nigel, as ludicrous in real life as he appears on screen, he radiates a studied serenity, as though he's on a higher plane to the rest of us. While he's certainly on a different plane, no doubt about that. It's probably not a higher one. Seagal suffers from that Donald Trump syndrome of thinking himself far more capable and talented than he actually is, seeming oblivious to the fact that an army of people are helping to prop up his delusion. Seagal would never do off-lines for others. Off-lines are when you do a scene and the camera's on your character while the other actor stands there to provide you with your feeds. It's a bit boring for the off-camera, but most actors, the ones who aren't Steven Seagal, will do it because it's part of the job. But on The Glimmer Man, the director, a lovely man called John Gray, took me aside and said, 'The continuity person will be doing your off-lines, I'm afraid. Steven Seagal won't do them. Steven doesn't do off-lines.' 'That's a relief,' I said, Brian Cox. 'It would only be a distraction. One particular day when Seagal was showing a girl around the set, he stopped by where I sat with the script in my hand. "You see," he purred serenely at the girl, "this is how a great actor works." "No, Steven," I sighed. "I'm just learning my lines, that's all." The next thing I knew, he materialized, mysteriously keen as mustard to do his off-lines for me. But Steven doesn't do off-lines, I thought. Confused, I glanced across to see John Gray shrugging, and I wondered if Steven's attendance had anything to do with it with the girl he had been escorting around the set. Could it be a coincidence that she stood not too far away? Action, we began the scene, but the problem with Steven is that he doesn't know his lines. He keeps fluffing them. "Steven, it's very nice of you to do this," I said at last, "but it's really not necessary. Why don't you go back to your trailer?" Thankfully, Seagal agreed that his absence would make our hearts grow fonder, and there was an audible sigh of relief as he left us to it. Brian Cox making some perhaps not so comments about one Steven Seagal. A little bit long, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on that piece from his memoir.
Well, it's that actually is fascinating to me because it doesn't surprise me at all that Seagal would do that. When here I go with my movie snobbery, but Brian Cox is absolutely right. Usually pisses other actors off when their co-stars don't do those offline readings. Doesn't surprise me at all that they wouldn't want someone like Seagal doing it because he's not a good actor anymore. That implies that he was at one point, and there is one performance that I think he gave, which was a really good one. I'm not going to spoil it here. But he's known to be exactly that. And I give Brian Cox a lot of credit for not making it like a professional thing. He's just, he probably got along with Seagal. It sounds like it. He's like, listen, you don't have to do this. I got this. A lot of actors I've seen actually on one set. I can't give names because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, but I saw two actors get into a fight on a set because of this exact situation. Brian Cox seems to be taking it like a pro and saying, this guy's just not good at doing the offline thing, so I don't need him. I'm good enough to do it on my own. So I think that's a very probably very accurate description, and also a very humble one in a strange way. That's kind of the vibe I get from it.
So listen, I am not defending Steven Seagal. My only thing was I felt like Brian Cox was coming off a little douchey with this, like a little bit like holier than thou. I get it. Seagal's he's preening around the set, acting like the star and showing off for the girls. But I don't know. I just read this, but I agree with everything you said. I think, and I love Brian Cox. I love Succession. He just sounds a little bit full of himself.
What movie were they talking about? What movie?
The Glimmer
was it?
Man. That was already one of his. He was coming off of his high point, and he was starting that slow decline as an action star.
Right. Well, look, he's doing exactly what he's making enemies all over the world, but he's doing exactly what Bruce Willis is doing, and he's rolling in the dough because of it.
All right.
God bless him.
Well, Groo, it was confirmed last year that everyone's favorite 80s action hero anti-Semite, Mel Gibson, will both direct and star in the upcoming action feature Lethal Weapon 5. 23 years after the last installment in the iconic franchise, the actor has now revealed that his longtime co-star Danny Glover will make an appearance in the latest film, reprising his role as LAPD Sergeant Roger Murtaugh. Mel, 66, also told how he asked for 75-year-old Danny's blessing to direct the movie following the death of director Richard Donner, who took charge of the first 4 films. Reiterating his intention to direct the feature, Mel, who plays Detective Martin Riggs, told Entertainment Tonight, and he said, quote, "Yeah, I am directing it, and I'm really looking forward to it." The star went on to add that his place behind the camera was bittersweet following the death of Richard Donner, who passed away in July of 2021. After getting Richard Donner's blessing, Mel told how he turned to Danny to ask his thoughts on him directing, also confirming that Danny was on board with reprising his iconic role. The upcoming film is expected to enter in production phase at an unspecified date in 2022. As well as stepping up to direct Lethal Weapon 5, Mel Gibson is also going to star in it. They noted that Gibson would reprise his old character in the new film, which will have a comedic bent. Fans of Riggs will be pleased to see him back on the screen, older but not necessarily wiser. The original Lethal Weapon, which was written by Predator actor Shane Black, was released in 1987 and was met with much critical praise upon its debut. It starred Gibson and Glover as mismatched LA detectives who worked together as partners. Development on a 5th film grew in the Lethal Weapon series began in the mid-2000s when several attempts to get the project off the ground were made. Last January, it was confirmed that both Gibson and Glover were eyed to return to their roles for a new installment in the franchise. Donner later announced that he'd be working on the project and that he intended it to be his final film. However, the filmmaker passed away this past July, which left the movie in limbo until Mel Gibson took the director's chair. A release date for the upcoming final Lethal Weapon feature has not been made available to the public yet. Groo, Mel is back and hating Jews more than ever. It's Lethal Weapon 5.
Well, number one, I actually don't think it's going to happen. They've been talking about it forever, and I think they'll continue to talk about it until they're just...
Why do you got to kill my research?
No, I'm not. No, I actually, to be fair, because you know that I'm a big fan of this franchise, there's not much that you just said that I wasn't already aware of.
Okay.
So I seriously don't think it's going to happen. I kind of don't want it to happen because I know that it's probably because of Mel Gibson. It's probably going to, even if it's good, it's probably going to kill the legacy of the series, which is really, if you think about it, they're 4 for 4. Each of them is, some of them are great and a couple of them are very good, but none of them are bad. If they do it, I will absolutely watch it. I am a huge fan of the franchise. The only thing it seems to have going for it, if they do it, and I don't know how you're going to react to this, but Mel Gibson is an excellent director. So if he's directing it, and they actually do it, it might have a chance. The guy knows, for what it's worth, the guy knows what he's doing behind the camera. So, those are my thoughts. Conflicted, yes, but I do love the franchise.
I'm not conflicted. I'm being a bit of a gas bag, just throwing some fun verbiage in there.
No. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
My thing is, though, I mean, Glover's 75. I mean, how are you going to get these guys as cops out there?
If they're smart, they're not going to do that. If they're smart, they're gonna do whatever, throw whatever money they have to at Pesci to get him back. Just to, it's like Going in Style. Like, it'd be a comedy about three old buddies on one last adventure.
Did you watch it all, the Lethal Weapon Fox series? I didn't watch it.
Never saw it. I meant to, because I love the idea of Damon Wayans as Murtaugh. I didn't know who that other guy was, but at the same time, it'd be like watching, to me, at the end, it was like watching Delta House or Fast Times, those TV reboots of Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Animal House with like other people.
Never worked. They never
right,
worked.
because those characters are so iconic, and you just can't. Some characters are irreplaceable, and for what it's worth, Mel Gibson's Martin Riggs and Danny Glover's Murtaugh, they can only be played by, those guys in my mind. So no, I didn't watch it. I heard it was good though, but I didn't watch it.
Okay. Groo, from our next Van Dammit podcast, we discussed it already. We're going to take a break from Jean-Claude. Groo and I have our passports ready, our vaccination cards updated. We will take a journey into Seagal land as we will review 1994's Deliciously Daffy on Deadly Ground. His battle to save the Alaskan wilderness and protect its people can only be won. Andrew, it's a very special Van Dammit on Deadly Ground.
Where Dudley's hanging out with the bicycle guy?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm looking forward to that because, I saw that movie in the theater, and that was when I was a Steven Seagal fan. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about it that I might not know, and I'm looking forward to giving my thoughts of it at the time. I'm looking forward to the rewatch. Actually, maybe I'll think differently of it. I don't know. What I remember of it is very clear, but I'm looking forward to the rewatch, and definitely looking forward to talking about it with you.
I'm just looking forward to a mid-'90s action film with a message. It's just on the surface, it just never works. You know what I mean? And again, I think I remember watching it late night on HBO, and again, the environmental. I haven't seen it in a super long time, but I remember even in my younger days, going an action movie with an environmental message. That's a tough, That's a tough sell, but I guess if there's one person that could pull it off, it's Mr. Steven Seagal.
Mr. Salty.
I look forward to seeing him, Michael Caine, and his Native American fur that 8 animals had to give their life for, so he could stay warm. Groo, next week you and I shall return for Nothing Worthwhile as we will review Season 1 of the 2022 action series starring WWE superstar John Cena. Peacemaker, give peace a chance. Groo, HBO Max, Season 1 of Peacemaker.
I am just looking forward to an excuse to put my responsibilities and work aside for a whole week to binge watch this show. Because I've heard good things about it. I love John Cena. I think John Cena is an incredible talent in many ways. I see a lot more acting potential in him than some of the other wrestlers who have made the jump, and that includes Dwayne The Rock. I think Cena has something that I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with this. I've heard good things, and I'm really looking forward to it.
So you're starting to come my way, because I think this guy has got a bigger ceiling than, let's just say, for a superficial comparison, than any other wrestler who's made it big in entertainment, which is obviously The Rock and Dave Bautista. I think Cena has got, acting-wise, maybe not popularity and gross box office, but I mean, I believe he's signed up for some kind of super drama, and I'm really looking forward to it because I think if done, I think he could pull it off.
Yes, I that's what I was sort of getting at. What you said. I don't think he'll be able to get to to the Rock level of biggest star in the world, because that's really what The Rock is right now.
Right.
Batista is part of the MCU. I think he's the most popular character of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think he's terrific in it. He is a good actor. But I don't think he's gonna get. I don't think he's gonna ever get. He's tried to get to that marquee level, and I don't think he's been able to do it. He's fine right where he is. I think Cena can and will get to that level. Not Rock level, but definitely main event level.
Well, I will say on my ride home from Tucson today, I was listening to, I did pick up a little on Howard, and he talked about Peacemaker, and he really, really enjoyed it. And there is a shout out to the Howard Stern show in season 1 of Peacemaker. I hope you'll find it.
Oh, no wonder.
You'll enjoy it. Okay, but I mean, he said he was pleasantly surprised. He said, I didn't think much. He was a wrestler, and he pulls it off. He really enjoyed the series. So,
for a guy who, not to go into Howard Stern, but for a guy who pisses on wrestling, he's certainly had a lot of these guys on his show.
Yes.
Yes. So, I don't know.
So,
but anyway.
All right, Groo, can I take us out of here?
Would you like me to, or would you like to do the honors?
Well, I mean, do you want to do the Rip It or the No Retreat, No Surrender?
Well, I gotta do. Oh yeah, no, we do No Retreat. This is Van Dammit. But first we got to wait. First we got to do a little kung fu fighting.
Oh, go! Okay, give me. All right, here we go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a very special week here on Van Dammit. We had the honor and privilege of welcoming one Ryan Rebalkin, the head of the Last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network, the CEO, CFO, Chief Academic Officer, and it was a real privilege to be here with him, with you, Evan, as always, my best friend in the world. We're having great times together, and only bigger things to come. Next week, we got Peacemaker with John Cena. We've got On Deadly Ground coming up, and so much more. WrestleMania is on the horizon. We are officially on the road. Woo! WrestleCon tickets go on sale, and the future's looking bright, so we got to wear shades, Evan. So, before we go, you give it to me. No retreat.
No surrender.
See you next week.
Naksuke.